Hi, I'm Kim. I'm 20. Oh, speak with you. Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Kim. I'm 32 years old. I'm actually from Malaysia, but I'm living in Vienna since 2011. But in between, I was working in China for defense. I used to work in the mining area also in different area, but now I'm actually in traveling sectors, and I also have my own Airbnb, and also dealing in antique business. I used to think to have children when I was young, but came to like when I was 15 years old. I just make decisions that I just don't want to have kids. So my mom heard about it, and I told her about it, since I was young, and because part of reason I think is I don't like noise, and I think children they are cute, but when they make noise, I just think that it just make me got some nerve. So my mom she used to think when I have children, I will throw the children out from the window and stuff. But she just make the things to be as angry. But I won't throw the children that. So I have my brother. He likes kids a lot. Um, but he also want to have kids, so he always say, just go to practice and stuff, and he always encouraged me. But I just told him that, it's my choice, and I don't want to have kids, part of puzzle, because my career path that I'm always busy with my things, and I also enjoy being like, not to say single, but enjoy to be just to be with my partner together, and instead just like have a kids. I mean, I have my partner before that they told me, oh, I want to have kids and stuff, but I think I need to think about it. And I used to have an ex, and she told me that she wanted to have kids. So I say you can have pregnant, and she say she don't want, and then she said because she will look ugly, after I have the pregnancy and stuff. So I say we can make an adoption. So she said she wanted to have a black baby, and she says it's cool. And we have three colors in our family and stuff. And I'm Chinese and yellow, and she's white, and there's a black one. So make a really like international, United Nation. So I told this story to all my friends, and they said it's kind of crazy, this idea. So I think it's crazy too because I don't know how to explain to everyone. With like bring them to cafe house, and everyone came to me and say, "What's the problem?" And they probably will think, "Are your girlfriend having sex with a black man or something?" And you know. So basically, as a Chinese, we are quite traditional. I mean, we're not so open like most Caucasians when they come to like accept second like stepdaughter or something. We really think about like economically or like inheritance in this way that it is okay or not. So we have a terms for people who you take over someone's children, what we call 拖油瓶. It means like you're dragging someone oil bottles, and it's kind of not a nice terms in our society. So talking about not having children, my dad and my parents, they always think about like, will you get old and you have financial stable, but when you get old, all this money, who you going to give to? So, I mean, I told them it's not about money, who you give to. It's like how you going to give back to the society, because that's what the society give you and how you give back to society. So, I told them that it's not so really a matter for me to say to give it to who. So kind of like really contradict to the Chinese mentality, because most of the Asian mentality or Chinese mentality is like I should have kids, and the kids inheritance my properties, and that's how the whole thing will continue. So it's really contradicts what most Asian think. Yeah. I guess nowadays is like like in Malaysia, people, they actually quite respect the pregnant women. As in, I think it depends on the family, but mostly in generally, if you are pregnant, they are, holding you like a queen. So most women, they are really enjoying like being a queen, during this period, because especially you have the firstborn child, that that everyone in the family, they will say, wow, this is great. But when you came to the second child, it will like, nah, it's nothing special anymore. So I guess we have like those Chinese, if they are pregnant, they still can go to work, but mostly the employees will say, you have to stay home, and you have to really just, get well and stuff, because not because they're scared you have something happen, but because we have a cultures that women's, when they get pregnant, they should like really take like different Chinese medicine stuff, and you have people who serve you really like queen. And after the birth, you also have like a center, what we call in Chinese 月子中心. Is like people who, after having a baby, and in 1 month times, they give you different Chinese herbs, Chinese medicines, and they take care all your meals, and you just need to enjoy, your breastfeeding stuff and stuff, and the whole day is in that center. But your husband or your relative will pick you up some from time to time. So it's a booming business actually in Asia. So in Asia, I guess nowadays it's so common that sometimes people don't want to have kids, or they probably think about career path, or probably they will think about the family, because as in Malaysia, I think it's still more about like men who still dominate most of the top management, this range. So if women who have reached this, level, and it's just like really difficult for them to say, I don't want to, I want to get pregnant, and then I don't want to lose my job. So it's kind of really difficult. But it's not like the system like in Austria. You say you have 3 years calends, but in Malaysia is once you say you know, I want to stay on this thing, and they won't say you will have the chance to come back, because someone will take your job. So in 1 year's time, 2 years time, and you may laugh out, because nowadays the technology is so fast and everything changed so fast in Asia. So no one want to lose this high salary thing and high position thing. So that's the difference between the. It's more about the system that the government actually provided, or the company provided. Basically, I think like in Austria, it's quite normal if someone who don't want to have children. But in Asia, because I think all your friends, they have family, and once they have family, they're really devoted to your family, and they just put more time to the family. So it is like in Asia. So most of the time, even though they are single, but to the end, they will say, I will think to have adoption, and sometimes people will think really bad words about like women who don't have children, who are not married, and they just use say 老处女 means old virgin. So they use this word to state a woman who is not married and without children also. So they say it is like an old virgin, just like a 老处女. So it's not a nice word towards a woman who don't want to same as another woman. But I think with the progression, with all this society changes and stuff, and we slowly to know what's like European think, and the people will think it's more about personal choice. So what we have to let someone know is not having a children is more personal choice instead of like a society norms. This is we really have to educate most people that not having children or having children, or it's more about personal choice. And probably someone will think it's about health issue also. So it's many factors that affect someone who, don't want to have children. So it's not just because of, health, economically, like socially or something. Many things, probably their past experience about their parents, probably they see the parents, they are not in a good relationship, they have the fears, or probably they don't think they are good in handling children to make them to be a better person. So I think it's many factors which make someone who don't want to have children. So like for me, I think if I want to have a children, I have to make sure he or she will be in the university, who actually be someone who is good and contribute to the society. That's the most basic requirement. So if I cannot make sure this thing I can provide to him or her in the future, then I would say no, I don't want, because someone have to always feel ready to to just make sure your children to be really good. But sometimes you don't know, God just make a jokes to you and give you something special gift. So it's kind of really different. So yeah. So. 大致上人家认为就是有小孩的女人呢是比较完美的，比较完整的。当然他们觉得他们就是有小孩过后就是会就是说把他们捧为一个王后。但有人认为如果是没有小孩子的话，那他们就有一个比较不是太好的一个就是词给他们叫老处女，但是这个是比较贬义词的。在欧洲呢，在奥地利呢，大致上人家认为就是说没有小孩子是非常普遍的一个就是事情。但是来到亚洲呢，就是说一个女人如果她是想不要小孩子的话，那大致上人家就会觉得这个是非常就是说不正常的思维。因为在亚洲呢，我们是属于比较就是说思想就是说传承嘛，我们讲的传承就是说一代传一代。所以思想就是说蛮大一个距离，就是你结婚了你一定要有小孩子，结婚了你没有小孩子的话，就是说你是一个不会生鸡蛋的就是母鸡嘛。我觉得生小孩这个东西是一个个人的选择，不是一个社会的一个就是说强制性的东西。因为我个人觉得是来到就是生小孩，因为它有很多因素在里面，就是说可能是经济上的，可能就是说社会的，然后也可能就是说个人的一个身体的状况，他就是可能也有就是父母的一些影响，就是不愉快的童年还是怎么样，都会影响一个人就是说做出一个决定，要不要生出一个小孩子。但是我觉得无论一个人做出什么决定，我们都是应该去尊重他个人的决定。We use O virgin for someone who is O virgin, like 老处女 is like means okay, so it means woman without something. So you use the lunatigas to say, because we in Chinese we say a woman who, for example, if they're married and if they don't want to have children, is like they are the chickens who cannot grow the eggs. The one that's like who actually is O virgin is like probably someone who is don't want to get married and don't want to have children. So there's this like really one is like O virgin, one is like you are a chicken who don't want to grow. Yeah, in Asia, for women who actually married, and we have this like kind of like false mentality. I say false, as in like if women who get married and they don't have children, or they can't have children, or they don't want to have children, then someone who terms them that's like a chicken who can't grow eggs. So 我们讲这个母鸡是不能生鸡蛋的。So it's kind of like some women, because mostly in Asia is like when you get married you're supposed to have children, or you supposed to can born baby. But we say that we you get married, that doesn't mean that you 100% will get a children. That's not 100% guarantee you get a children. So it's more like that's not a fast thing. So I got to know this Lunatica's word is like a sheep that, are in Sardinia that will not produce again. So it's more a positive way to describe a woman who don't want to have children. But in Asia, I think it's more like a negative kind of thinking. Like if you don't want to have children, it's like not a normal kind of thinking. People will think you have a, this uh, productions machines, and why don't you use it? And it's kind of a waste if you don't use your machine to produce a baby. So kind of like different kind of mentality, but I think it's a personal choice. I come to know about lunaticas in Vienna, that it means women who don't want to have children. In Asia, we use the terms the chicken who cannot born eggs. Yeah.
No, you see it again in your
OK，我在维也纳呢，我就是接触到这个就是项目，它是叫 Lunatigas，然后它是就是讲解女性她选择不要小孩子的，就是女性不要有小孩。但是在我们亚洲呢，我们是讲母鸡是不能生鸡蛋的。